This is the very first episode of Pittsburgh Press Pass. I'm John Steigerwald, and I am the very first guest, which does not speak well for the future of this program. But here anyway are your hosts, Frank and Ryan.
John, that's fantastic. John Steigerwald, by the way.
Thank you.
Years from now, we're going to look back, and there's going to be a trivia question. Who was the first voice ever on the Pittsburgh Press Pass podcast, and it will be John Steigerwald.
And I'll be dead.
This is what we want to do with this is explore the people and personalities of Pittsburgh that have ties to here, that are associated, obviously, with sports or have a connection to sports. But we don't necessarily want to do game breakdowns or X's and O's or analytics or bore people to death with stats. And certainly those things have the proper place and proper perspective.
Yeah.
I think what we want to get after here is examining personalities, lots of storytelling, background, where people came from, how their careers were shaped, what pushed them to the point they got to in their career, their connections, again, to Pittsburgh. So I'm looking forward to very much introducing the audience to a lot of these personalities that you may see or hear, but you don't know the background and how they got to where they are.
Yeah, we peel back the curtain and we show you. That's why it's called Pittsburgh Press Pass. It's your all-access pass to the insight of the folks you see on TV or sports or in the game, and you'd like to know a little bit more about them. Even the casual stuff, like their lifestyle stuff, and great stories of them growing up. And we have a whole wish list of great people we'd love to bring to you, and we're working on that list, and we think it'll be dynamic, and not just for Pittsburghers in Pittsburgh, but everybody out of town. It's a group. Pittsburgh, it's Steeler Nation, Pittsburgh Nation, all over the world. And again, with the Pittsburgh Podcast Network, you can get it on iTunes, get it on SoundCloud, your computer, your phone, your tablet. Anybody around the world can hear us. Someone in Arizona or those retired folks in Florida. I remember John Steigerwald. That's a podcast I like to listen to, and see what John's up to and some great stories.
Well, we're going to test our connections because, I know that person. Yeah, I know that person. Then when they turn us down and say, who the hell are you? I'm not coming on.
Yeah.
1972, not to use the term decorated, it was such an interesting, fascinating, and tragic year.
Unbelievable
in
year.
Pittsburgh sports.
So I consider, and this is something that I should actually do. I could write a book and call it 1972, and it could be about I'll give you just a quick rundown of what happened in 1972. First of all, this is when the Steelers began. The Steelers that you know now began. Franco Harris showed up. Franco's Italian Army. It's hard for people who didn't grow up knowing the Steelers when they were the worst team in the history of North America. That's what the Steelers were. I'm not exaggerating. There was no team worse. Any comedian who wanted to make a story about they couldn't even beat the fill in the blank, it would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was just the worst. So 72, after I was like 23, 24 years old when the season started, and they when you started, you could see something was happening here. They had this kid, Franco Harris, and he was getting 100 yards every week. And the teams that would come in and always beat the Steelers were beaten. So that started. And while that's going on, the Pirates are coming off having won the World Series. They're defending a World Series championship. And now it's the fall of 72. You got Franco Harris and the Steelers, in late September and early October. Oh, my God.